Hello once again and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from Northwest Community Television. In the next half hour, an update of what's new in Maple Grove and a report of the last council meeting. That's all next on the Maple Grove City Report. And thank you again for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report, joined by Al Madsen, City Administrator. Al, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Dave. It's good to be here.
We're happy you made it here. We're taping this on the day of the big snow here in early December, and that brings us to the obvious question, Al. How are things going in Maple Grove? You got the crews up and at them. All the plows were on the trucks.
Oh, yeah, true. That's right, they were. Yeah, the crews have been out. They'll continue to be out for a while. Some of them will, head back in for a rest and then come back out at midnight, work all night. We'll be out for a good portion of today, plowing and putting down salt, because underneath that snow is going to be a buildup of ice. And so coming over here, the roads are getting worse by the minute. So, but nothing is going to interfere with the Maple Grove report.
Very good.
How's that?
We're happy to hear that. As far as the crews, then I would take it this is one of the more difficult types of snows, where it snows throughout the day, because that puts a little stress again on when do you plow? What's the right time to go out, I would guess is the question.
You're absolutely right. That's very, very correct. It does make it difficult to schedule. If you get a snowstorm and bingo, you got 6 inches and then that's it, much easier to deal with. But when you've got a day where the snow just keeps snowing and snowing and snowing, and it makes it very difficult. You have to adjust your crew schedule, and one thing we don't want is our snowplow crew to become overtired, and that poses problems as well. So, but we got a dedicated group of public works folks that'll be out there plowing and keeping things open to the best of our ability.
Since we're on this wonderful topic, a few reminders then for the homeowners then. Shoveling snow out into the street, a no-no.
That's correct.
All right, other things to remind people about?
And same with snow blowing out into the street is a no-no. I usually, when I snow blow my driveway, I go out into the street and I blow part of the street up into my lawn. So I found that when the truck comes along with the plow, there's less they're going to dump at the end of my driveway. So, and I don't get any preferential treatment as a city administrator. They still dump snow at the end of my driveway.
They don't avoid your driveway.
Right. So.
As far as kids then and snow forts by the road, always something to be mindful of, that the plows just can't see the kids.
That's absolutely right. That's an excellent point, and parents need to be careful about that. Don't let their kids build a snow fort. It's fun building a snow fort. I remember those days. But don't build them close to the street, because when a plow is coming along, they're moving along at a fairly decent clip, and they, the visibility is not that good for something like that. So vehicles also, remove vehicles from the street. That makes it very difficult for snow plows to keep weaving around them, and so no street parking. And the other thing I do want to encourage our residents is to clean out around the fire hydrants. So that if there is a fire, that makes it obviously a lot quicker and more efficient for our fire crew to deal with that situation. And then also snow plow in front of the mailboxes so that the Postal Service is able to get through as well. So.
Right. So snow emergencies, Maple Grove does not use snow emergencies. What is the standard procedure in getting cars off the street, that type of thing in Maple Grove?
Well, we usually would put a warning ticket on somebody's car if it sits there for an extended period of time. We try not to ticket, right away. So we'll put a warning ticket on, and 99% of the time, that does the job. But it is important to keep the cars off the street and move them up into your driveway, and because snowplows, what they really like to have is that straight shot. They don't like to be weaving in and out of vehicles.
Right.
So.
especially early snow like this that'll leave
Yes.
those big ridges there.
Very much.
Finally, wanted to ask a little bit about sidewalks. What do people need to know about sidewalks? I know the city does some sidewalks, but not all sidewalks. How does that work out in Maple Grove?
Sidewalks, typically the responsibility of the homeowner. And so we encourage homeowners to keep their sidewalks clean. We do the trails, but in residents, and I know they understand that our first priority is the streets. And then, we start working down the list and we'll get to trails. But I know some folks would like to have their area trails
Sure.
plowed first, but
Right.
our first priority is the streets. That's
All
the
right.
main thing.
Any questions on all of that? We'll give you the city's web address at the end of the program, and you can go there and find out some of that snowy information. Enough of the white stuff talk.
Right.
Let's get to some fun things happening around town. If you like steak, there's a group in town that might meet your appetite.
Absolutely. The Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, Maple Grove Beyond the Yellow Ribbon organization, which is a wonderful organization to help returning veterans, deal with the challenges that they face. And on Sunday, December 8th, from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Osseo Maple Grove Legion, there will be a steak fry. So we encourage anybody that's has an appetite for steaks to get over there and have a steak, and it certainly is for a good cause. The Beyond the Yellow Ribbon organization is doing fine work. So
Fantastic.
very, very pleased.
All right. What
Couple
other
other,
things happening
well,
around town?
A couple other things. On December 16 at 4 p.m. at the Government Center, there will be a public informational meeting on 610. There's been numerous public informational meetings, but now that we have $131 million that will be available to get us the last 2.5 miles to I-94, we're having another. It's not a public hearing, it's a public informational meeting. It's part of the overall process. So it's at the Government Center. Most people have probably seen this time after time, and so I don't know what kind of attendance there will be, but it'll be at the Government Center, and people can come and they can see the entire layout on the walls and ask any questions that they wish. Staff will be there. So.
Excellent. And as promised, we will still those maps after
Yes.
that event takes place
Yes.
and bring them to the next Maple Grove report. So we'll try to explain a little bit more of what modifications might have been made for that last stretch as
Right.
610 heads over to 94.
Right, and it'll also show there's 3 stages. Stage 1 is 131 million. We're trying to get MnDOT to fold Stage 2 into Stage 1 and free up money for that, but so far it's a struggle. But the other public hearing that was held, or public informational meeting, was the 494 Dynamic Lane,
Yes.
which was held in Plymouth. That is a project that is anticipated to start September of 2014. That it doesn't really add a third lane to 494.
Right.
It adds what's called a dynamic lane. But I caution our folks that use 494 to work and back is that starting summer of 2014, it is going to be very, very difficult because they're going to have that whole section lined up, and it probably will be down to 1 lane for quite a while. And so find alternative routes. So.
I'll ask the obvious question, and I'm sure you've probably heard this before, or hopefully you have. Why is the lane only going to be open during some times? If they're going to go to work to add another lane, but then only allowed to be open certain times, it must be because of safety concerns. What is what you've heard about that?
Safety concerns is one, lack of money to do a real third lane is the other one. We feel that, our mayor and council, myself, as well as Plymouth officials, we feel it's a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid approach. That route needs a permanent third lane. MnDOT is saying that because of lack of funding, best we're going to be able to do is this dynamic lane for now. But we still feel it's a Band-Aid approach. But yes, safety is one issue. Cost is one issue.
Sure.
They just say they just do not have sufficient funding to do a full-time real third lane.
So the theory might be then that if that dynamic lane is open during rush hour, cars are going to be going slower anyway, so it will be safer rather than during non-rush hour and cars going fast through the dynamic lane? Am I getting closer to the answer?
That's the theory. Yes,
Okay.
that's the theory, and we hope it works. But that's
Right.
the theory. Just that our position, along with Plymouth, is you stop the Band-Aid approach to our transportation system and just step to the plate. And I know that MnDOT struggles to get funding, and federal funding tends to dry up, and so but. It just we feel the north end of the Twin Cities area, the northwest suburbs, we feel for years that our transportation dollars that we've been shorted, that all the transportation money seems to have gone more to the southern part of the metro area, and we feel it's our turn, it's our time. But again, I guess if the best we can get is this dynamic lane, well, we'll take that. It's better than nothing. So.
One final question, and then we can stop talking transportation. How will it work when it gets up towards the north end and it gets up to the 694-94 split there? Will it become a bottleneck at that point where you're going from dynamic down to the 2 once again?
That's one of our big concerns. Yes, we feel it will become a bottleneck. It's a bottleneck now, and we feel it's going to add to that problem. So,
right, because
yes.
it's worse obviously further down at 55 where the bottleneck happens now.
Right.
So essentially you're moving the bottleneck up.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Just moving it up. Yeah. From 55 now we're moving it up to our doorstep. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we hope it all
something tells
works.
me we'll talk more about this as time goes on.
We hope it all works, but it is going to be a traffic nightmare, and so people need to plan accordingly. If they want information, we can certainly provide information on it. If our Plymouth viewers want information, they can certainly get it from the city of Plymouth as well.
Right.
So the information is out there, and people can start planning now alternative routes.
But you're saying the timing again is
Summer of
sometimes
2014.
Summer next year.
Right,
Okay.
and it'll be at least a 2-year project, so it's not a quick fix.
Right. Okay.
We have issued 229 single-family units to date versus 211 at this time last year. I was thinking we would hit about 250, but I don't know now if we will or not. So we've had, and I'll mention it from the council meeting this past Monday night, we did have some final plats that we approved for some single-family lots, but whether or not the builders will start actual construction.
Sure.
Since we're running out of time for 2013. So our commercial industrial projects continue to move along well. The FedEx operation is, if not, it may not be 100% operational, but it's getting very, very close. That's an example of a mammoth building coming out of the ground in just an amazing short period of time. So it's really something. Farmers Market, staff continues to work on that. We have December 5th and December 19th are the last 2 indoor farmers markets. And staff is now working on the 2014 farmers market. So
I'm sure as soon as they end the summer, the questions begin for what do we do to improve for next year and who's going to be the vendors. So
absolutely.
Congratulations to that staff.
Absolutely right. Yeah, they do a fantastic job. Parkway Station. We may be this week shifting some cars over to the transit site from the temporary parking, which is in front of Slumberland, that area. Slumberland's been very, very kind to allow us to use that as a temporary while we're building that one level of the ramp. And so we're very pleased with Slumberland. And I'm thinking that probably the week of December 9th is when we'll really shift everything over to our Parkway Transit Station. And that'll give us an additional 400 parking stalls there, which is very much needed. We have seen, because of what's been going on at the Parkway Station with construction, we have seen an increase in the occupancy, so to speak, of the Arbor Lakes station. So
Makes sense.
we think once Parkway, the added 400 stalls are there, we should have a little breathing room in our Arbor Lakes station. So
Perfect timing as the snow falls now. A lot of people looking for that option during the winter months to park that car maybe under a shelter and ride the bus.
Yeah, for sure. And since we're on the topic of transit, those transit riders, I would say they're probably aware of it because we have the information on our buses, but We're going to be having reduced ridership, reduced schedules in the month of December. The month of December, we find that the ridership starts to dip because more and more people are taking their car to work because they have lots of things to do after they finish working. And so go to our website, and for those that want to see what the revised, reduced schedules for our ridership will be, just check it out there.
And that's just during the month of December, so
Correct.
January goes back up to pretty much normal schedule?
Right.
Okay.
Yep, it does. Yep, just for the month of December. So we have several large residential projects underway. Sky at Arbor Lakes, which is that large one coming out of the ground. That'll be probably 220 units in the first phase. Bottineau Ridge is an affordable housing project, and that is right at the corner of Hemlock and Arbor Lakes Parkway, and that's now seeing work coming out there. So that area, that quadrant right there by Arbor Lakes and Hemlock, lots of activity going on there. And there'll even be more because the Arbor Lakes senior, the senior building there, right along Arbor Lakes Parkway, just somewhat behind that, they received approval for a 46-unit memory care facility. And so that will start construction in the summer, spring, they'll probably break ground, spring of 2014.
So just in addition to the existing senior building that's there?
Correct. And this will be truly a memory care facility. And this was all part of their original plan when they came in with their senior development project, was a future phase. And so now they're doing their future phase.
And I would guess with all this work in that area, the stoplight, I believe it's a stoplight that's been on Hemlock a little bit further north of the Arbor Lakes Parkway that seems like a stoplight to nowhere, now will become used and will be a key component to getting people in and out of that area.
Perfect. Yep, absolutely right.
Okay.
Yep. So, you must be an employee of ours.
I'm trying to keep an eye on the city. I drive through there and wonder, why is there a stoplight going into a big hill of gravel? I knew there had to be a plan down the road.
There's something coming, yes.
Will there be a connection on the opposite side then to get over to Main Street? Or
yes, eventually there will as part of our overall gravel mine area plan. Yeah,
okay.
So we recently, CARE 11 came out and had the food fight, which was very good. We were happy that they chose Maple Grove area to have that, and so a lot of celebrities were out for that. Great Southern Bank had their official grand opening, and they're located just by Costco, right along Elm Creek Boulevard. I provided a presentation to Keller Williams, which is a real estate firm in Maple Grove, and there was about 75 realtors there. And just gave them kind of an update on Maple Grove, and they are very, very excited with how sales of homes are going in our area. The number of days that the homes for sale is on a market is dropping greatly. So there's a nice turnover. So they're very pleased with the sales market and the buyer's market in Maple Grove, so we're happy with that.
Does that group find that there are questions that prospective home buyers ask about the city?
Yes.
I know obviously we always hear they're asking about the school districts in the area, but what do they ask about a city and want to make sure before they buy a home that the city provides or does for residents?
Well, they ask about trails, parks, community center activities, things like that. Obviously, they ask about tax base, things like that. But typically, we find that most of the questions really revolve around amenities like our parks and our trail system and our lakes and things like that. So the information I provided to them, I also included our community survey that we had, and where that showed that 96% of our residents are happy that they're in Maple Grove, and that speaks well. And so providing them copies of that, and so they'll certainly use that as a sales guide as well. Provided them information on just the overall housing market and the commercial industrial development that's taking place.
Is job information something that people ask about? Are there jobs in Maple Grove, and is that something you as a city keeps track of and provides to people?
They do ask that, and we can provide some of the information. We can also go through the Department of Employment and Economic Development, Metropolitan Council, so we can get information for them. We do have some some information on jobs, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
very good.
We try to keep somewhat up to date on that. We did, as I mentioned, approved several final plats. We had approved the Fieldstone addition, which is out by County 101 and Zircon. That's 4 single-family lots. We approved another final plat for 4 Seasons. That's 36 single-family lots. We approved High Grove, which is Weaver Lake Road and Forest View area. That's 35 single-family lots. So, you know, as I mentioned earlier, whether any of these actually start to break ground yet this year, I don't know. In some cases, you will get a builder that'll want to go in and start, you know, digging a hole and maybe putting in footings and foundation, but you know, the way the weather is now, very, very difficult.
Yeah, may slow that down.
So this is their inventory starting spring of 2014. So we're happy with that. As I mentioned, we did approve a 46-unit memory care unit for the Arbor Lake Senior Facility. And then we also set a public hearing for Patrick's Bakery and Restaurant. They are going to be taking the space that was formerly occupied by California Pizza Kitchen.
Right.
And Patrick's Bakery and Restaurant, I'm not certain of the time schedule. We approved setting the public hearing for their liquor license for December 16. And I'm not certain how much time after that they'll need to get all the leasehold improvements done and when they'll officially open. So, and we also set a public hearing for Rusty's Taco. It's a taco facility with a liquor license down in 63rd and Vinewood. That again is setting the public hearing for the 16th. Then the applicants come in and the council reminds them how serious we do take liquor license and that we really do not want to see them at a council meeting again other than, you know, the time they get their liquor license. So
that is going into one of the existing buildings at that corner, I would take it?
Right, there's a center there, 63rd and Vinewood. It'll be going into one of the vacant spots there, yes.
Very good.
Overall, as I say, the meeting went very smoothly. We really didn't have anything of major concern on the agenda. And I thought everything went very, very well. And again, when we look back and we're thinking, well, we're holding a public hearing for a 2014 budget, and we didn't have anybody come out to speak either for or against it, that speaks very, very well, I think.
Right.
So, yeah. So we this past week we took a couple of non-elected legislative officials into our gravel mine area, which was a real eye-opener for them because neither one of them had been into that area. And we're going to be coming back in the 2014 session with our gravel mining area tax increment financing plan again. And we're using this as an opportunity with these two, even though they're non-elected, they are involved with legislative process.
Sure.
And so we gave them a tour of the area. And again, it was an eye-opener. I think most people, when they go into the gravel mining area, it is a shock because there is still a lot of work in there. There's a lot of heavy equipment going on in there. There's a lot of deep holes. And so people see the mountains of Maple Grove, so to speak, you know, the sand and the gravel piled up.
Yeah.
But you get into right into the middle of it, and there's a lot of holes in there. So hopefully we will be successful in the 2014 legislative session. I think that we have resolved the concerns that several legislators had this past session, and we have cleared up, I think, some misunderstanding that they also had. So I'm looking for a much smoother process, I hope anyway. So.
Is there a next step of the information campaign, if you will, to include more people going to that area, more information coming out of that area?
My next step is to try to convince at least 2 key elected officials, to get one from the Senate, one from the House, to tour, just like these other 2 did, It may be a little difficult at the moment with the snow, but I think we can still get them out depending on their schedule. So.
Right.
But we do need to get the elected folks in there so they can see what we're dealing with. So,
Okay.
but it was a good meeting. Everything went fine.
Very good. Al, thanks for the update
Dave,
again.
thank you.
And the next time we'll talk a little bit more about 610 and some of those connections. And also, since it'll be the last program of 2013, maybe
That's
get a
right.
little year in review from Al, look
right.
back at some of the highlights of the past year. Let's leave you with that next council meeting date. As Al mentioned, it is on Monday, December 16th, 7:30 at the Government Center. Up at the top of the screen, you see the website address if you have questions about the snow and some of the things you might need to do to help remove it, maplegrovemn.gov. And if you have any questions or comments for the program, 533-1710 is our viewer response line. For Al Madsen, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.